Welcome back to another episode of Day1Radio right here on Live Hip Hop Daily. I'm one of your co-hosts, Maurice Garland, and I'm always joined by my man, Brandon Peters. What's happening with you, bro?
What's good, brother? What's good with you? Everything going well?
Everything going good, man. I'm doing even better now that we got our guests with us for today, man.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. This is a brother that we had talked about having on some years ago. We've been doing this 7 years, and you know, it just so happened to line up. Our homie Deshaun Kennedy just so happened to be doing some stuff with Jocelyn and his people, and he was like, "Hey, man, I can definitely get Al on the show." I was like, "Hey, well, let's make that thing happen, bro." So now we have the I'm gonna call him a former, you know, NBA player and legal cannabis medical marijuana impresario mogul out this thing. He's making moves not only, you know, just how a lot of cats are doing is slapping their name on something and putting out there to make paper. He's actually making moves in that arena, but also making moves and educating people and empowering people, specifically our people in this business, man. So salute to you for that. Welcome Al Harrington to Day1Radio. What's good, brother?
What's good, fellas, man? Thanks for having me. I see you got that Warriors jersey on. Who on the back of that joint?
That's Jay Rich. That's Jay Rich right there.
Rich, all right.
It ain't no throwback either. I've been a Warriors fan since I was 4. So we gonna talk about that in the conversation for sure. For sure.
No
We gonna get to the business first, man. And I was reading your story, man, and I thought it was dope. Like I feel like we had similar experiences with our family with the cannabis. Like my mother is a cancer survivor. And, you know, when she was doing chemo, I was trying to convince her to, you know, they in California. So I'm like, yo, you know, that medicine they giving you probably ain't good for you. You might want to try this. She wouldn't go for it. But I heard the story about your grandmother, Viola, and how she was suffering with glaucoma, and you talked to her and, you know, introduced her to the whole vaporizer thing, and it worked. And that kind of changed things for you. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, man. Well, first, bro, you're not a good salesman, man. If you wasn't able to convince her, man.
Hey, man, you don't know my mom.
But nah, for me, man, it was tough. I mean, she was 79 years old, you know, and I'm telling her about cannabis, and she like, what's cannabis? And I tell her it's weed, marijuana. She's like, reefer? She's like, boy, I ain't smoking no reefer. You out your mind. So, you know, going from that to, you know, the next day, you know, she was complaining about her eyes because she said she had glaucoma, and I was able to have her try a strain called Vietnam Kush, and an hour and a half later, I went downstairs to check on her. She was crying, reading her Bible, and said it was the first time she read her Bible in over 3 years. So, you know, that obviously moved me. It made me, you know, thirst for more information and educate myself more about the plant. And, you know, a couple months after that, I called my cousin, my co-founder, and he came out, and I was just like, you think we could pull this off? And he was like, we'll try. And we was able to pull it off. You know what I'm saying? We started off in Colorado with a 12,000 square foot grow, went from that to a 40-acre farm in Oregon, to a 50,000 square foot building in Michigan. And then now, you know, also winning licenses across the country. So, you know, we're really setting ourselves up to be one of the major players in the cannabis industry, but it's not only about us, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything we do is about us and about our people. And we're trying to figure out how we can use our platform to, you know, uplift, educate, and empower more people of color and give them opportunity in this cannabis space, you know, and especially in an industry where the product destroyed our communities. You know what I'm saying? They locked us up. It took so much opportunity away from us. And now it's this new billion-dollar industry where all our counterparts, people that don't look like us, they're thriving. So we just got to figure out how to, you know, level the playing field. And, you know, we just feel like, you know, internally as an organization, if we don't do it, nobody will.
So, you know, that story in itself is wonderful. And like, even the way that you explained how you and your cousin set out to do it, but, you know, it was a very like tweet length friendly type, you know, transition that you made there. Like, how did you actually get into it? Because I mean, there's a lot of Black folks that are looking at this like, they're either like, man, this seems like a great thing to get into. And then you might have cats on the block that are like, well, bro, I'm tired of getting locked up behind selling weed. How can I get into this legal stuff? You know what I'm saying? So like, how did y'all actually like get into it? What was that process like?
Well, you know, the good thing about it was that he had some level of experience because he was a caregiver in another state at the time. So, So, oh wow. So when when opportunity came, at least he had some knowledge about cannabis, right? Which obviously helps. But as far as getting licensed and stuff like that, it was challenging. I mean, we hired, one of the best attorneys, in the state, allegedly. And pretty much, thank God, we could read regulations for ourselves and different things like that, because literally everything he told us to do was wrong. So we literally paid somebody to educate ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So it was extremely difficult back then, but we're talking about 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I think that obviously there's more information out there. There are more brothers like myself and just people that you could really tap into to try to get, some level of, information and advice, you know what I'm saying, as you build it. But at the same time, the part of it that's really extremely difficult is the financial side of it, because it's so expensive. Man. Like, this is an expensive game to play in. And, and it hasn't gotten any cheaper since, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, every year it goes up. And we think about what the investment we made, 10 years ago, because it's our 10-year anniversary as an organization, that investment right now probably wouldn't even get us started. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally it wouldn't get us from A to between A and B. You know what I'm saying? So it's extremely difficult. But, the one thing I would say is I don't want to discourage people, because there is opportunity. And, there's there's other verticals within the industry that you can work in to be in cannabis. You don't have to just be a grower, just to have a retail store. You could, do testing, you could do disposal. It's so many different things in lanes that we can get in. So it's just really just getting more information and just trying to figure out, what you're capable of being able to accomplish.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because like there's a term that I got familiar with maybe like last year, this term called like painting the eye of the dragon, which means like you ain't got to try to grow the whole damn dragon, just paint the eyeball. Like, there's always going to be some small thing in the grand scheme that you can fit into.
Well, historically, remember, in the gold rush, the dudes that had the picks and the shovels, that made the picks and shovels, they're the ones that got rich. You know what I'm saying? So we can't never forget that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right. And even for me, it's a challenge for me, even, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking like, as I built this business, right, I still look at it like we're pioneering, right? What else can we do? What other opportunities can we take advantage of for being so early in the game? And now I think it's really about trying to figure out some of those ancillary ways of, creating business and creating revenue.
Right. And I'll piggybacking on that, you guys launched an incubator in October of last year to create 10,000 jobs within this business. It's still a baby. Like, we're only 4 or 5 months away from last October. But how is that going so far? And what's some of the things that you've learned in trying to educate people and create these opportunities?
Well, yeah, the incubators is definitely interesting, right? Because, for us, it's about, one, trying to elevate people that have already kind of, got into the space, right? It's like I said, being that it's so expensive and different things, it's really hard to, take somebody that hasn't gotten going at all yet. You know what I'm saying? Where we've been able to really be helpful is through our resources, right? Back office help, different things like that, helping with marketing, helping with fundraising, you know what I'm saying? Helping people, being able to build out their vision, you know what I'm saying? To be able to, be able to continue to scale. Like, I'll use an example of, a young brother that we helped in Martin, Tennessee. His name is Jarrell Howard. And, he has a family farm that's been in this family since 1930 or whatever. So it's been 80 something years. And over the last 40 years, they were corn croppers. And, that farm over the last 40 years made $939,000, right? Total revenue. And last year, we was able to flip his farm to growing hemp, and he made $3.5 million. You know what I'm saying? So, and, it's just really cool with the way his family set it up, because they have like a board of governors of the land, which is like all his aunties, and like the youngest is 78 up to 96 years old. So he had to literally go in the room and convince them to be able to, turn this farm from growing corn to hemp. And now they're looking at him like, it's just so sad that they're so old they can't really take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? This newfound money. But it's just, I just use it as an example, just being able to, just come in and really just help him develop his vision and help him, convince his aunties to turn the land and different things like that. But just some of the things that we really just focused on. And, some things is in the mud and some things on a higher level. But, the one thing that we're no stranger to hard work. And, if we can be an asset and help someone, we're Johnny on the spot, and we try to do it as efficiently as possible.
Like in your journey so far from, convincing your grandmother to try, and then the young man that you just spoke of in Tennessee, convincing his older family members to get into the game. Like what have been, I guess, like the main things that people of that age have been concerned about? Is it that they're concerned about the stigma of it? Are they concerned about side effects from it? Or are they just still thinking this is illegal and you will go to jail for touching it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the things that they are mostly kind of just like, I don't know about that?
I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. I think some people have, the Kent or the reefer PTSD, meaning like they've just seen so many lives destroyed by it. This is like they can't wrap their head around that this is now something that's, one, good for people, and two, something that's legal. We got to look at, like, I think there was a report that came out of New York, how the police are still policing cannabis in Black neighborhoods the same way they did in the 80s. It's the same arrest numbers. Yeah. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? So you have that, right? So that's the turning people away, and church leaders who, a lot of times definitely run communities and different things like that. Then you have the stigma. You know what I'm saying? Then you have people that, think that it's a gateway drug, and, all these different things. So, it's a lot, but I think that, like I said, this conversation is a lot easier to have now than it was, when we started back in 2010, 2011. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the industry is definitely moving forward. I mean, you see legalization happening everywhere, especially in states where we would have thought there would have been some of the last states to legalize. But I just think that, through this pandemic, with cannabis being deemed essential, I just think the industry took a leap forward. And we just need to just continue to have people like myself and my co-founder and other companies like ours to just continue to spread the good word, continue to encourage our community about this opportunity, because what's at risk for us is generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like this plant can, the way it destroyed our community, it could actually rebuild it. And we just seen historically rice, sugar, cotton, the liquor industry, the sneaker industry, the automobile industry. Like we all founded it. We was right there, but we have no ownership. All we are is customers, and we can't be customers again, especially not in cannabis. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we fighting for.
Absolutely. I'm having these conversations with people regularly, so I feel you 1,000%. In the last 10, 11 years, or 10 years for you guys, we've seen state after state after state legalize in various different ways to the point right now you guys are operating in Cali, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Michigan, and soon Oklahoma. And I know you were just part of a conversation with Schumer about federally decriminalizing marijuana. Do you see, because I feel like you have a better breadth of knowledge than the average person on this, do you actually see marijuana becoming legal federally anytime in the future?
Yes, sooner than we think, man. You got to look, man. Our two border countries have just legalized. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Canada a couple years ago, now Mexico. You know what I'm saying? When you think about the states that have legalized, for not only medicinal, but, recreational use. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's happening. You got people like Schumer, you got Cory Booker, you got all these allies that are now in Senate that are definitely pushing this. And I think they definitely have an audience all of a sudden, when you look at all the tax revenue, and then you look at, how incarceration numbers is going down and different things like that. So I think that, I think that it's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen sooner than later. I think the biggest concern I would have with legalization is who's going to actually govern cannabis. Because, when I think about the FDA, just because historically who they are and how they operate, it kind of concerns me. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that, they would expect facilities to look a certain way, and it could really crush a lot of people who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their operations, and they actually grow really good cannabis and different things like that. But now they actually lose their business because of these, overly regulatory restrictions or requirements. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to happen, but I just think that when it happens, we just need to make sure that we have a seat at the table. I think that, Chuck Schumer should definitely reach out to a lot of the operators in the space, because our perspective is unique. I always say that my biggest issue with with politicians is most, not all, but most aren't entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? They're career politicians, right? So they don't understand entrepreneur pain and owners pain. You know what I'm saying? Especially in an industry like this where we're founding it, right? So those are some of the concerns just off the top, that I just think about that, we definitely want to address. And then we also want to address, diversity and Black ownership. That's another big thing because these East Coast states, which are showing to be the most valuable, they're starting off being so restrictive that people that look like us, we can't even apply because we don't have the resources. So they need to put some set-asides, and then not only set-asides, but also opportunities for financing so that we can actually be able to compete. And I think the one thing that you can say about our race and our people, we're masters of making something out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? All we ask for is an opportunity. So I think if we can get these real opportunities, I think that we can take advantage of it. And, in order for that to happen also, we're gonna have to work together, meaning people that look like us. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to really try to use each other for resources and support and not look at it as the way that we've been brought up as being competition amongst one another. Because in this game, we ain't got a chance. We represent less than 4% of the industry. So if you think that me and you got competition, bro, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just really just getting us to break the mold of the way we've been thinking and historically. And I think because of, pandemic and making the world kind of slow down and, with all the Black Lives Matter movements and issues that we had, I think that we as people are more woke to, what's really going on and realizing that we do have to work together. So I'm just excited to hopefully see that happen. I hope that, my company will be one of those companies that spearhead those efforts. And, we just gonna have to just grind and make it happen from here.
For sure. Now, I want to go back to a couple of things you said, because the unity play is definitely important. So you mentioned earlier how it's becoming increasingly expensive in order to enter this game, at least as an entrepreneur. So what kind of numbers are we talking about? And if individuals don't necessarily have that capital or those investors, is it possible to partner up with, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 people to collective economics and jump in the game that way?
Yeah, that's what I think, man. I just, this is how I look at it, man. I just feel like, and I mean, it's like just within our culture, right? I think we represent $1.7 trillion of buying power per year in the United States alone, right? How I look at it, and when I look at the industry, I just see a lot of, minority players all trying to actually do their own thing instead of actually working together, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that if we pool the resources together, we can have a bigger impact than me having a small grow here, you having a small grow here. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of our, well-to-do celebrities or whatever, like they're still in that mindset of like, take, and they just want a deal with somebody just gives them equity and pay them a check. And for me, it's just, this one is a little different. Like we can literally have our own Coca-Cola of the cannabis industry. We could literally and have a Coke and a Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? If we just work together. But the way what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing out here is just more everybody wants to do their own thing, or and I'm talking about more of the celebrities that can write checks. You know what I'm saying? Or they want somebody to give them equity and all this other stuff instead of like, building. And I understand building is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, I think that, maybe, I know like, the Jay-Z's of the world and, these guys is trying to create these funds and stuff, but it's going to take something like that. You know what I'm saying? Some type of funding from our community that we own and we support. And, I feel like if we just did that alone, like, we could have that meaningful spot that I'm talking about, in the cannabis industry that I feel like we definitely deserve. But I think that the way that we're doing it now, we're going to be all split up and they're going to buy us off for pennies on a dollar compared to if we was all together, what we really could, what our real worth is.
So along those lines, can you talk a little bit about the incubator program that you created a few months ago? Like you want to create, I believe, like 10,000 jobs. Like how has that been going? Being that, is definitely falling in line with the vision that you just laid out. Like, how is that going so far?
I mean, it's going good. You know, like I said, you know, I have Jarrell. You know, I have another gentleman down in Oklahoma too. One a grower, one retail. You know, we have these ladies that have this butter company called Butter Baby. So, you know, we're working with them. We're in Detroit currently, you know, working with a couple, you know, brands that, you know, have been successful on the gray market, you know, under the caregivers, but now trying to figure out how to get into, you know, getting into the license, you know, game or whatever. So we just, you know, we work with all those type of people. Like if you got something that's hot and you just need some gasoline, you know what I'm saying? We try to work with you. You know, as we continue to move into these new states, we like to tap in locally for local talent, but also some of these brands that we work with that are doing well in these other markets, we want to bring them, you know, to our new markets as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we feel like, you know, we will be able to hit those numbers in regards to jobs, because every time we open up a facility, every time we open up new opportunities, obviously there's job creation there, right? And then for these entrepreneurs, we're giving them, you know, access to a license and different things like that. So not that they weren't doing okay before, but, you know, now they can have a bank account, right? Now they can buy a house. Yeah. Now they could, you know, now live like a real, you know, American citizen because now they're getting so it from an avenue that's, you know, that's legit.
That's so real, because people don't understand that just because it's illegal in your state does not mean that you can drop that money in the bank that you
Right.
pay in the state. People don't understand that. One of my homies in California, his pops years ago just started a business alone, piggybacking off what you said about the different things you can do in this business. He started a security business of helping people move their money from point A to point B, because you can't just take it to the bank. You know what I mean? So it's not, that's so real. I want to talk about a little bit about Viola Cares and what you're doing with that, and the quest to create 100 Black millionaires. What I thought was super dope. Most people look at it as aspirational, but I look at it as, I mean, it's inevitable. It's just which 100 is it going to be? You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. So speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm happy you set it up like that, because it's funny when they first announced it. It's funny, not that it was taken out of context, but, you know, definitely the way it was put out, it was like my DMs, and I don't know how people got my personal cell phone number. I was getting text messages from people like, Al, can I be one of the 100 millionaires? As if like it was a sweepstake, you know what I'm saying? But be honest, the way it works is you have to be like someone like, you know, the Jarrell kid I was telling you about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's for us, it's a lot easier to help people that have actually started something, right? Because now we can lend our expertise and lend our resources and relationships to allow you to elevate, you know? And, you know, we also have another sister company called Village, where, you know, when we apply for these licenses in these different states, you know, we tap into local people that we know that are entrenched in their community, right? Because how I feel like it, and this is one of the things that frustrates me about how these MSOs win these licenses, when they have a social equity component, they get perfect scores because they ask you for community redevelopment programs. And these people that own these companies or work for these companies aren't even from those communities. So how do they know how to have an impact? Like, how can they write something that's gonna actually work and help Black people? You know what I'm saying? So we know that we obviously can do that because we understand what our culture means. But for us, we want to have true impact. So we reach out to local people, whether it's somebody I played with in the NBA or, you know, one of my boys, a homeboy that was the chef or whatever, and we put them on our licenses. You know what I'm saying? And as we win, you know what I'm saying? Obviously they win, and now they have a certain amount of value on paper because these licenses are so valuable. You know what I'm saying? So even through that program, we've been able to create 7 millionaires, you know what I'm saying, on paper, through that alone, you know what I'm saying, by including people that we trust and know that can actually help us, you know what I'm saying, have that impact in those communities.
For sure. We touched on it earlier, and just like the policing of neighborhoods in New York, and that's just not New York, that's, you know, across the country, Black folks still being jailed, Latinos being jailed for marijuana. I know that you guys are passionate about reentry programs and educating people on that level. So speak a little bit on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, first we just got to remember, man, like when people go to jail, like no matter how long they go to jail for, but like people that went to jail for these non-offensive, you know, drug charges and stuff, Like they went to jail for years, 10, 15, 20 years. And what we all think, and we just not even think what we forget, especially if we don't have someone that has to go through this reentry, is that they come home to nothing, man. Like they have no resources. A lot of time, you know, family may be there, but family there's only so much family can do because they're struggling every single day, right? So what we've just been focused on is creating these toolkits and creating different opportunities for them to have options for when they come home. You know what I'm saying? To try to find jobs, to find housing and different things like that. You know, one of my dreams and visions long-term is to be able to start educating these people before they come, like through like one of our cannabis curriculums or whatever, so that when they come home, we could actually job place them. You know what I'm saying? Especially as these people, you know, their records can be expunged, because that's another thing. It's like, you know, you serve all that time and you come home and now you're a felon. You can't even go get a job at McDonald's. It's like the system is so fucked up. It's like, what do you expect us to do? So we went to jail all that time, served our time, and then we come home and we have nothing. So, you know, I just feel like because, you know, we are benefiting because of their sacrifice essentially that they made, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we got to pay it forward, and we got to figure out programs and figure out ways to, you know, help these people adjust back to society, but we have to find a way to at least give them an opportunity of employment. And I think that's another way that when we talk about those 10,000 jobs, the way we can accomplish that is through different, you know, initiatives like this.
For sure.
Entering this game, man, like, because the way that you're talking about this, obviously this is a business that you're running, but this also really sounds like a mission that you're on too. Like, so like when you are, you know, you could be anybody getting into it, but specifically being Black and getting into it, like, do you feel like you have to carry some kind of, you know, political or, you know, conscious flag the minute that you jump in this game, you know what I'm saying? Or do you feel like you can just be a person like, bro, I'm just really trying to cash out on y'all ass and go home, you know what I'm saying?
No, I think, I don't know, man. I just think, like I said, I think because it's so early, I think that you could do both. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously everybody does stuff to make money. I got a family. I got 4 badass kids and they eat a lot. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, I just think that how I look at it, I just feel like if I don't speak on it, I don't know who really will, man. Like, and I'm not saying that there are not other people that are speaking on, because they are, right? But I just think that my perspective is definitely more unique than some people, because I actually made an investment in my company. I run my business. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the mud with this every day, so I know what it takes. I'm not a paid celebrity endorser of VIOLA that's out here screaming the good word. Like, no, I've been through this. I've been through presentations where I know that the person that's looking at me is looking at me as a Black athlete and like didn't go to college, and what does he know? You know what I'm saying? So when I know that, I think about my counterparts, like not my counterparts, my ally, my people. Imagine them being in that same room, they're gonna laugh them out the room. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, you know, we have to carry this flag, man. We gotta carry it. If you in the cannabis space and you Black and you know you're doing well, even if you're not doing well, you need to carry this flag. You need to continue to let people know the issues that you're dealing with and different things like that, because, you know, I just really feel like, you know, this is generational wealth at risk. Like, and we got to carry it with that sense of urgency. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, even for me, like, you know, we're about to raise some more money, and, you know, I would really like to get a lot of the money from my community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I prefer to get, because I just feel like I'm building something that we should all enjoy. Like, this should be something, like, I really feel like the name VIOLA is a name that should be around as a cannabis product 30 years from now. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we've laid enough of the groundwork. I think the brand awareness is hot. I think that, you know, for us, especially because we are so focused on helping our community, is like, how can you not support us? You know what I'm saying? We're sharing in the success with our people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this is one of the companies that if you look like me, you should bet on. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that's just what I would like to see long term. And you know, we are having a lot of success, but, you know, I want more support. I'm hungry for more. You know what I'm saying? I just really want us to be able to, you know, really be able to excel in this industry. And like I said, it won't be me by myself. You know, we're definitely going to pull other entrepreneurs up in this space. I promise you that.
For sure. you're obviously highly educated on this space, especially from a business perspective. For those who are novices, man, what kind of resources would you tell them that they need to read, watch, listen to, whatever, to get fully educated before they jump in?
I think that, every state is definitely having a lot of council meetings and different things on websites, for their city or state, depending on what kind of license that they're actually trying to go for. So I think it's really just getting familiar with the laws and the real opportunities, understanding the deadlines and the timelines of different opportunities, because there are some states that have, programs where you don't have to pay anything to initially get through the first couple phases to, get your license. And once you get the license, then you can go and fundraise. And I always told my business partner cousin, he riding with me in the car, I always tell him, like, yo, I'm telling you, when we're raising money and doing things without a license compared to when we had the license, they carry you totally different. You know what I'm saying? Once you have the license, the opportunity is solidified. Now it's something like, I have the asset right here. Let's fund this. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that, we just got to look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? And to your point, like, when I think about the security industry, what cannabis has done to the security industry, it's booming. Like, there's no facility in America where you don't have, cannabis in front, security in front of it. You know what I'm saying? So these are different ways that, like I said, that we as our people can try to find a way to benefit, transportation, delivery services. There's all these different opportunities. We just got to figure out a way to take advantage of it.
So the NBA and in Major League Baseball, they took weed off the illegal drug list this season. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, like, we're in some trying times. I don't know if they're going to what did you think about that move? And do you see that becoming a norm, in the future, where it's like other sports or even these two that we just named, just be like, hey.
Yeah, it's going already, bro. That ball is rolling, bro. Let somebody get high, pass out and die on the court. That's the only way we're going backwards. I think that, I think that the NBA allowing it in the bubble last year definitely helped, just in regards to knowing that the players were there using cannabis because there was nothing else to do a lot of times, but the level of play was so high. And then they allow it again this year, and you look at it and you see the level of play is just as high. I think that they're now realizing that the players are pros, right? We all respect our opponents. We respect our profession. I'm not just the same way I have an opportunity to get drunk before the game. I'm not going to get high before the game. Like, I'm about to go play Kevin Durant and I'm about to get loaded. Like, how that makes sense? You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go play Steph Curry and I'm about to get high. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get my ass busted. So, and then we just think about the medicinal side of it and the fact that, our players, they hurt. They deal with a lot of stuff mentally and physically. And having cannabis as an alternative way for them to medicate is just something that I think has been a long time coming. And I think that now all leagues pretty much allow some form of cannabis use. And now I think the NBA is one of the last ones to literally take it off their ban list. And I think that next season is probably going to be that season, when that actually happens.
And you know what? It's like, I can't remember who I heard say this in an interview. It was definitely an OG, but they were pretty much saying, like, back in the day, like, NBA players had always been smoking. They had to start cracking down because cats just started getting reckless and getting caught with it all the time. Like, man, you got it falling out your car. You know what I'm saying? You're getting caught in the hotel with it. Like, just
but it was that stigma back then, because even those guys, it's not like they were high for the game. It was just stigma. Yeah. It was just like the players are using a drug. Think about it. In the 80s, 90s, cannabis was crack cocaine. It's the same thing. You looked at exactly the same. So I think that, that's one of the, that was the main reason why. Y'all gonna kill me? My phone is on 2%.
Ooh. Oh, man.
So it might drop on y'all, man. I'm so sorry. I had nothing. These new iPhones don't have the same plug, man.
I know. It's all good. Real quick before we get out of here, because we mentioned it earlier. 2006, 2007, the We Believe team, you, BD,
Matt, Monte,
Rich, Matt Barnes, Stack Jacks, a young Monte Ellis. Bro, I was at the game where y'all beat Dallas at the college in the town. I remember Monte, young as hell, bouncing through the hallway to the locker room, excited as hell after the game. Man, please take us back to that moment. This is for all my real Warriors fans, not y'all that came around in the last 5 years. Take us back to that moment, because people forget y'all ended the season on a super hot streak, hottest team in the league after beating Detroit. I think in March, that was the #1 team in the East, and y'all just ran through the league after that. Take us back to those moments playing Dallas and beating Dallas in one of the biggest upsets in NBA playoff history.
Because I don't want to go too long, but obviously it was an amazing feeling. But to be all the way honest with you, we was not surprised. We had their number all year. Like we beat them all year, and we had like a way to guard Dirk that we knew if we stopped him, they ain't have enough offense. And I would say, just as a basketball enthusiast and know what I know, where they really hurt themselves was not playing Brandon Hayward a little bit more, because size is what hurt us. But while we could beat everybody is because they played down to our size. And once you played down to our size, you was in trouble.
Yeah, Beedrins and D-Lee was the only semi-bigs on the team.
D-Lee wasn't even on the team then. It was just Beedrins. But Beedrins ain't play. Beedrins ain't really play that much either. Goose. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it was. So I think if they played the bigger size, they might have had a little bit more success. But at the same time, like, we was not surprised, though. We knew we was going to beat them.
For sure, most definitely. As y'all heard, Al Harrington phone was on 2%, you know, so it's all good. But y'all heard what he said. Follow him at VIOLA on Instagram, man. Please support what this brother is doing. And as you can see, VIOLA is not just doing things for themselves, which, you know, a lot of these celebrity-driven cannabis brands are. They're doing things for the entire cannabis community, especially Black folks in the cannabis community. And I definitely salute that and appreciate that. We appreciate y'all listening, appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you follow us on Day1Radio on all your social media, and we'll be back next week with another dope show. Peace.